Hare Krishna. Kindly mute yourself. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita class. We will continue with chapter 15. And before that, we will start with the Mangalacharan prayers. So I will share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see my screen here. Okay. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutah Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right. So we will start with chapter 15, not start, but continue with chapter 15. So last time we did a sort of an overview of the entire chapter as to how it fits into the sequence of the Bhagavad Gita. And also we saw the significance of chapter 15 itself. So chapter 15 basically is a summary of all the important concepts of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita itself is a summary where Lord Krishna has given in a very nice, concise way the knowledge of the entire Vedic literature. And 15th chapter further is a summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita in a very nice way in just 20 verses. In the shortest chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has done this wonderful magic. So chapter 15 is a very, very celebrated chapter. And last time we stopped at 15.6, where it's a very important verse where Lord Krishna is describing his abode, the Vaikuntha Dham, where he says, Na tadbhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So very, very beautiful verse. So we will continue from 15.7. So thank you everyone once again for joining. Your time is the most important thing that you are giving to me, to Lord Krishna, to Srila Prabhupada, for your own spiritual progress and for becoming dear to Lord Krishna by reading and hearing his words. Just like every parent wants their child to listen to them, Lord Krishna would definitely like us to listen to him. And you all are giving your time to listen to Lord Krishna. So that is very, very appreciated. And you are allowing me to be an instrument in this journey. Thank you for that as well, for your enthusiasm, for your commitment and dedication. Another thing I want to just share is that due to the wonderful efforts of Shyam Leela Mataji, who's, I think she's here. I don't see everyone who is joined
Yes,
right now.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Oh yeah, Hare Krishna. So she and her good husband, Chetan Prabhu, have put a video timeline on all the lectures so far of the Bhagavad Gita class. This 2021 series, which is the most detailed series. I personally don't think I will ever do this much in-depth Bhagavad Gita again. Maybe we'll always do it in a faster way, because people are not able to keep connected with Bhagavad Gita for such a long period of time. But it was somehow over the period, my desire to go deeper and sort of cover it in depth arose. And due to the Herculean effort of both of them, husband and wife, they have very nicely documented sort of all the micro level topics that occur in each video. So if you go to any video, you can see what is called as YouTube chapters. And in that, basically, it's a table of contents of the entire 2-hour video. So every micro level thing that is discussed, you can just click on that link in the YouTube and it will take you to that point. It also serves as a summary of what is covered in each video. So you can quickly scan what is there in a video, what kind of questions are answered, what kind of topics have been dealt with. Click on that, hear that small section. You don't have to search for it or listen to the whole thing to search. Unfortunately, there is no Control F like you have in a text document to search for a keyword. So you don't have that yet. That technology doesn't exist for audio video. So this is what comes closest to it. And they have both, Mataji and Chetan Prabhu, have made it available for everybody to take advantage of. So thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. Thank you for your very service-oriented, humble mood. So, yeah. And thanks to everyone for your time to attend and use this platform for understanding Lord Krishna's, or trying to understand Lord Krishna's words. So with that, we will continue with the 7th chapter. My goal is to complete the 15th chapter. Sorry, did I say 7th chapter? 15th chapter. Complete the 15th chapter and also take questions at the end. Or there are some questions that have come in, and plan to take that towards the end. If there are any questions, put them in the chat, raise your hand, or if it's a short question, very much connected to what we are discussing, just, unmute and, just say that you have a quick question. Keep the Bhagavad Gita with you in front. We will be going through the 15th chapter verses, and we will, it will be very nice if you can follow through directly in the verses, purport, Sanskrit, translations, everything. Also, if possible, keep your video on, so that creates a more personal environment. All right. So having said that, let us get started. Am I sharing the screen? Not yet, probably. And mute yourself, please. There seems to be some. Okay, I'll mute. Okay, so we are in chapter 15 and we are in 15.7. So just a quick, very, very quick recap of where we are. So we talked about chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, which started with the notion of a inverted tree. So we saw this picture of an inverted tree, and we saw, or we discussed, what is the difference between a real tree and an inverted tree. We discussed 3 main differences between real tree and inverted tree. Then we saw what is the meaning of this inverted tree. What is it representing? It is representing the material world. That is what this inverted tree is representing, where we are all entangled. And now we know that we are entangled, and those who can sense, this is a very important point, those who can sense that we are entangled will want to cut it. Somehow there are people who are not sensing that they are entangled, so they are happily continuing to remain entangled. Now, I will also say this, we started a new Bhagavad Gita batch on Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We will not go into this much detail in that one, but that one I am feeling already. I'm right now in my preparation. I'm on the third chapter, even though we covered first chapter. I'm planning to hit on some very key points of realization and how to understand the key concepts of the Bhagavad Gita. So this very important concept that exists to feel, or to not feel, but realize that you are entangled, is very important. And in the last class also, we referred to this verse 2.44, very important verse, chapter 2, verse number 44. So that is 2.44, which is very important in Bhagavad Gita, which says, Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam Tayah Pritachetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhihi Samadhav Na Vidhiyate. That those who are too much entangled in Bhoga Ishwarya, in this, by their past karma, they have done some good activities and they are now enjoying. So if somebody is enjoying in Disneyland and he still has time left, he purchased a 3-day ticket into Disneyland, and on day 1, if you tell him, let's go, he will say, why? I have 2 more days left. Let me enjoy. He may not. So in our case, we don't know how much time we have left. At least we know that if you are, let us say, 20 years old, you can say, I have 80 years left. Nobody knows you have 80 years, but let us say maximum you will live 100 years. At most you have 80 years, 85 years left. So like that, there is some time limit that we all know we have left, maximum time limit. And then we say, why I have to go? So those people are in a separate category. It takes something, some jolting or some realization, some event happens in their life, and then they may come out of that illusion that there is temporariness. So, but for many people who are little more contemplative, will realize that this material world is an entanglement. And for them, what should they do? That is the last question. And so that the answer is to that question is, they should cut this material world, this tree of the material world, with 2 things: with the weapon of detachment and asanga shastrena drihena chitva. And with determination, they have to cut. They cannot just act, or they cannot just have a lip service. Oh, I'm trying to cut, but it is not cutting. You have to continue, keep trying to cut it till you become free. So that is drihena chitva. So that is what we covered till verse number 4. And then, or 4, 5, and also we covered, there is another important point, that one should surrender to the Supreme Lord. So prapadya, to surrender, is also very important, to take his help, and how he helps when we surrender will come in the next few verses. So then the topic changes in verse number 6 to show that or to convey the point that, okay, this material world is the inverted tree. It is binding us, or we are entangled in this material world, in this tree. So where is the real tree? If it is, this one is a reflection, there must be a real tree. That we covered in verse number 6. That was the verse we covered. Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So that place is Vaikuntha. Tad dhama paramam mama. Lord Krishna says that is my topmost abode. So that is the connection so far that we covered. Now, okay. Now comes the question. I am entangled. That we understood. I am entangled. I am supposed to cut. Okay. And then there is the spiritual world. What is my connection with the spiritual world? That is this question that I have written in the last bullet here on this slide. What is our connection with God or with Krishna? That is going to be shown in verse number 15.7. So let us see. So that brings us to 15.7. What is our connection with Krishna, with Lord Krishna? Okay, so that is the question. So we will and the other question that is answered is why don't the living entities go to Vaikuntha? These two questions are answered in 15.7. So the first one is, so mameva amsho jiva loke jiva bhutah sanatanaha manah shashthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. So that is 15.7. So here Lord Krishna is saying, mameva amsho jiva loke. That mama eva amsha. Eva means certainly or only. These jivas, mameva amsho jiva loke. In this jiva loka, every jiva, it is not just manushya loka. So whenever Lord Krishna wants to talk to regarding all of humanity, that humanity should endeavor to cut themselves. Animals cannot cut themselves. They are ignorant. Humans, they will be referred to as manushya loka, means all the manushyas in the manushya loka. But here the context is different. Jiva loka means every living entity, including the animals, plants, everything, are Krishna's amsha. So mama eva. So what is our connection with Krishna? We are Krishna's amsha. Amsha, Srila Prabhupada translates as part and parcel. So most of you, I hope, understand what is the meaning of amsha. So we are a part and parcel, or a small portion, we can also say. Small portion of Krishna, mama eva. Now, please understand one more thing. It does not mean that we are a small portion of Krishna. So without us, Krishna is incomplete. We will read some portion of Srila Prabhupada's Purport, and there it's not like you are a part of a broken plate, broken glass plate. So if you are trying to, without you, the plate is not complete. When you are going to be attached to the plate, glued back, then the plate will look complete. That is not the case. For that, we have to therefore see, Ishopanishad, for example, has a very nice, the invocation verse, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamavaya Purnameva Avashishyate. So that the Lord is complete and perfect. So by taking out parts from the Lord, it doesn't mean that he becomes less or diminished. So what is our connection? We are Krishna's amsha. That is point number 1. The second point is, all these jivas, jiva bhutaha, means all the living entities in the jiva loka, they are sanatana. So all jivas are sanatana. What is the meaning of sanatana? Who can tell?
Eternal.
Eternal, yes. Eternal means there is no beginning and no end. Anadi and Ananta. No beginning, no begin, no end. So that is eternal, always existing. So jiva bhutaha sanatana. So from this, we can understand, and I think somebody was asking this question last time. Yeah, that was in a different context. When is jiva created? So anyway, the other point is that we are Krishna's amsha. that is being said in point number 1. And we are sanatana, eternal, which means that even when we go to the spiritual world, we will also remain jiva amsha. We are sanatana jiva amsha. That is how we need to understand this first 2 lines. So somebody was asking last time, after going to the spiritual world, do we become God? Do we become one with Bhagavan? Do we merge into Bhagavan? Do we, something like, there are so many conceptions. But putting these 2 points together, that we are sanatana and we are jiva amsha of mama eva amsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. So we are living entities and we will always be sanatana. We will always exist as mama eva amsha, as a amsha of Bhagavan. So amsha is not equal to purna. This purna is Krishna in quality and quantity. We are purna only in quality. We are spiritual in quality, but we are not purna in quality. We will always remain a amsha. So amsha is not equal to purna. So that is the understanding. Let us quickly read a portion of the purport for the benefit of somebody who had asked this question. Chapter 15, text 7. And Srila Prabhupada answers this right here. So I will just read a few lines. In this verse, the identity of the living being is clearly being given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. He remains a fragmental part eternally. It is not like he's a fragmental part now and he will no longer be a fragmental part later. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditioned life and in the liberated state becomes one with the Supreme Lord. Can you see this? It is not. It's written here. It is not that he assumes this sort of a conditioned life now and becomes one with the Lord in the liberated state. It is clearly stated that the living entity is Sanatanaha. According to the Vedic version, the Supreme Lord manifests and expands himself in innumerable expansions. Okay, all this is, I will skip this. The separated expansions, the living entities are eternally servitors. So we are eternally servitors, always servitors of Bhagavan. So I will not go further. I will move on. There are more points being mentioned here, but we will move on. Yeah. So there is a very beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which says that Jīvera svarūpa hoye haya-kṛṣṇera nitya-dāsa. So Jīvera svarūpa, I will write it down. Jīvera svarūpa hoya. So the svarūpa of a jiva is Krishna nitya-dāsa. So nitya is the same as sanatana, eternal. So even when we are in the material world, yes, we are Krishna das. But even when we go to the spiritual world, we continue to be Krishna das. We don't become Krishna, we don't merge into Krishna, etc. Okay. So that is the explanation of that topic, or when we said last week, we will cover it next time. So we have covered that part. Now comes this next question. Why don't the living entities go to Vaikuntha, or what prevents them from going to Vaikuntha? So what is happening? Manha shashthani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So Srila Prabhupada is translating it as due to conditioned life, that is the prakriti sthani. In the prakriti, there is conditioning. There are the 3 modes, the 3 gunas in prakriti. Due to that, we are conditioned. They are struggling very hard. Karshati, they are always struggling with the 6 senses, shashthani indriyani, which includes the mind. So the mind, the 5 senses, the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, plus the mind, which is at the center. So due to these six senses, shashthani indriyani, the living entity is entangled, is eternally or has been conditioned from time immemorial. So due to our sense enjoyment, so the point is sense enjoyment, I will say strong sense enjoyment, which includes, or at the center, I will say central point is the mind for our sense enjoyment. Due to strong sense enjoyment, we are entangled in the material world. So that is what is being said. That is what is keeping us from going to Krishna. So these are the two main points in this verse, that the living entities are amsha of Krishna and that they are struggling in the material world due to their strong attachment to sense gratification, and the source, or the sort of the, you can say in computer terms, that port, like you have USB port, that is what connects the computer to external world, to camera, to sound. So the ports that we have in our body to connect to the sense gratification are these six senses. So these are our ports. Okay, so that is 15.7. Now we will go to 15.8. Okay, so 15.8, what is the connection? Because the living entity is entangled in the using these, or due to these six senses, okay, because of jiva's desire for sense gratification, he continues to take on various bodies. So you can think of it like there is a desire for sense gratification, and you are in Disneyland, which is the material world, and you go from ride number 1 to ride number 2 to ride number 3, ride number 4. You just want to continue enjoying, continue enjoying, continue enjoying. And each kind of ride, someone is like a big circle, what a wheel, some is like a roller coaster, some ride is like a, in a boat, various rides you have, and each one gives you a different kind of enjoyment. And because of your desire to continue to enjoy, you have all these built up desires, and you keep taking on various bodies to enjoy various things, various sense objects. So the verse is, Shariram yad avapnoti yat chapi utkramati ishvaraha grihitva etani samyati vayur gandhaniva ashayat. So the translation is, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another. So what is being carried? The conceptions are being carried. Grihitva etani samyati vayur gandhan iva ashayat. So like gandha means some kind of smell, sweet or foul, whatever it may be, is carried in the wind. In the same way, the conditioning carries from life to life. So conditioning, or we can say material conditioning, which translates to desires for sense gratification. This material conditioning carries along from body number 1 to body number 2, and so on. This conditioning carries on from body to body to body. So thus he takes from one body, shariram yad avapnoti yad chapi utkramati ishvaraha. Ishvara is being called here as the Lord of the body, which means the soul, the jiva. So the jiva goes from one body to another body to another body, carrying his conditioning, carrying his desires, specific desires for sense gratification. Okay. So that is 15.8. So the main point, we can list down the main point of 15.8 is what? That, or two main points. One main point is that jiva carries its conditioning. And the second point is jiva goes from body to body. Is that clear? All right. So all this is being explained in the 15th chapter. Now 15.9. So what kind of body does he get? That is the question. What kind of body does a jiva get? So the verse is Shrotam chakshu sparsham cha rasanam ghranam eva cha adhishthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. So shrotram chakshusha sparshanam cha. So the shrotram means shrota, ears, chakshu, eyes, sparshanam means touch, to sparshana, to which is the skin or the touch, the sense of touch. Rasanam means taste, tongue, and ghranam means smelling. Huh? Yeah, smelling. Evacha adhishthaya manaschayam, and always the mind in the center of all these things. Vishayan upasevate. So these bodies are made up of various senses. So the translation is the living entity, ayam. So there is adhishthaya manascha ayam, this living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of shrotam, ear, chakshu, eye, rasanam, tongue, ghranam, nose, and sparshanam, touch, a sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind, manah adhishthaya. He thus enjoys upasevate. Sevate means uska sevan karna. In Hindi mein we say kisi cheez ka sevan karo. Sevan karo means you enjoy it. So upasevate, he enjoys a particular sense of sense objects, vishayan. So these vishayan, these objects of the senses, are enjoyed by the living entity using these 5 external senses grouped around the internal sense object, the sense organ rather, mind. So what kind of a body does a jiva get? Basically, it is said various, so many different kinds of bodies. Okay, that's the answer. Lord Krishna is not giving cat and dog and fish and donkey. He's not listing those things, but he's saying just any body is characterized by these various types of sense objects, various type of mind, and there in every body he enjoys the various vishayan, which means sense objects. So this is also, we have discussed probably many times before, that when you get a particular type of animal body or a plant body other than a human body or a human species, there are many human species, human type species, but in other bodies there is enjoyment. So there are pent up desires. There are a lot of desires. I want to fly. So then you may become a bird and you can fly. I want to swim in the water, and then you may become a fish. Or there are so many desires. I want to sleep. Somebody may have that strong desire. He can become a bear who can hibernate, he can sleep peacefully for 6 months without eating or moving around. So the various bodies that one takes, animal bodies or plant bodies, there is definitely enjoyment. There is no karma. So animal bodies or animal or plant, when I say non-human species, body of animal, plant, or any non-human species, there is enjoyment of a specific sense object, or multiple sense object or sense objects. One, it need not exactly be one, it could be more than one. But to fulfill those desires, one gets a particular type of senses, otherwise you cannot enjoy. So, you need a specific kind of body to enjoy a specific kind of sense objects. Like in a human body, if you want to go deep water diving, you want to enjoy the depths of the ocean, you cannot do it in this body. You have to put another body on top of you called a diving suit. You have to put oxygen cylinders, you have to do so many things, and then you can enjoy certain type of pleasures. I myself have experience of this. If you eat too many gulab jamuns, too many sweets, then you have to take a later on it will cause acidity in the stomach, and what you have to take, one Eno or some what is that, anti-acid, something you have to take. Basically you are taking something from at a material level, so that you can enjoy a particular type of sense object. So in the same way, the Lord has given various types of bodies so that they can enjoy typical type of sense objects in that kind of a body. So enjoyment can be done, but no karma accumulation occurs. So karma, or we can say karma accumulation, does not occur, because there is just enjoyment, and there is due to no intelligence. And when we say intelligence of discrimination of right versus wrong, because that does not exist, there is no karma. A tiger does not know that killing is bad or anything like that. He needs to eat food, so he eats a deer. So karma accumulation does not occur. So that is what happens in an animal body. And remember, this type of body does not only mean some kind of sinful desires. It could also mean good kind of desires, to be a good person. So for example, a cow is in the mode of goodness. So if somebody is attached to mode of goodness, he will get the body of a cow in which he gets to progress his mode of goodness. So in such a body, what happens? Whatever kind of body, the conditioning deepens. So depending on whatever set of conditionings, whatever desires you have, you enjoy those desires and they deepen due to the enjoyment. Due to the association in such a body, due to association with those sense objects. Okay, so the conditioning deepens. So that is 15.9. Okay, so what are the main points that are there in 15.9? We covered it over here, that the jiva gets various kinds of bodies based on his desires for. So the main point is jiva gets body based on past desires, or we can say conditioning of sense gratification. And it could be the good kind or the bad kind. Either way, it doesn't matter. The bodies will be according to that. Okay. And another main point is that what is death? Death is basically changing of bodies, or going from one set of organs for one kind of enjoyment to another set of organs for another kind of enjoyment. Just like if I want to go into deep water swimming, I'll put on a diving suit. Then I want to do some, what you call that, jump from an aeroplane. What do they call it? What is that? Skydiving. Then I have to put on different kind of suit. I have to put on a parachute. I have to put on whatever other things I have to put on. So you go from one kind of enjoyment to other. You put on different bodies based on that. So death is basically a transition from one kind of body to another to allow us to enjoy different kind of sense objects. So that is another point. Okay, now we are going to transition back into, so this is how the living entity is entangled. Now, how do we get that? So now we have studied the theory. The theory is what? Living entity or jiva is entangled. Okay, that we studied in verse number 1 itself, the inverted tree and all that. I'm just giving a quick connection now because we are going to change gear in number 10. Very important, number 10. So jiva is entangled.
Prabhuji, I have a quick question. You talked about death. So, the type of death is also based on karmas, because people say what kind of a death a person gets is based on his karmas. Or
yes, that is due to the death, of course, is based on one's karma. One could have a peaceful death or a violent death or painful death or a painless death. All that is governed by the karmas as well. Yes, and during the body or during the life also, it's not just enjoyment. There is pain as well. I mean, human beings definitely have pain and pleasures, but even animals suffer pain. So it's not just that the animal body, I'm talking at a general level. But when you are in a specific body, it is not just exclusive enjoyment. There is pain as well, because in the animal body, you have what you enjoy is because of your desires, but they come with certain karma that you have accumulated, which also you have to nullify by the suffering. So there is enjoyment and there is suffering. So both go hand in hand. Okay. In animal body, there is definitely suffering. And that suffering is due to also past karma. And you get enjoyment also due to your past desires. So, yeah. Okay. So the theory that we have covered so far is that living entity or jiva is entangled. We know how to cut our entanglement, or rather we can say we know. The point is we know how to cut our entanglement. We know where to go, which is Vaikuntha, by the process of cutting and surrendering. And we know what is preventing us from going to Vaikuntha, because we have all these desires and we are continuing to remain entangled. So this we have covered so far. Okay. Now, all this, you can say, I am reading Bhagavad Gita, so I know. But after the class is over at 8 o'clock, then something else will happen, and you will be busy in your life. When we say this know, we know, how strongly or how deeply you know and know, or rather realize. How deeply we know or how deeply we realize, that is the question. We may know it at a theoretical level, just like take in your life an example. We know that we have to exercise, we must diet, we must, sleep on time, we must do all these things. But how many people do it? So there is a difference between knowing and putting it into practice, which means that how strongly we believe in it, how strongly we want to implement it. So how to get the conviction to act on it? That is the topic of the next few verses of verse numbers 10 and 11. So that is 15.10 and 15.11. That is the focus. How to get the conviction to act on it. So that is why Lord Krishna in 15.10, Lord Krishna is trying to jolt us out of our indifference to Krishna. He's trying to jolt us out. He's trying to make us realize that this is important. And then in 15.11, he will give us a particular path of how to realize this. So 15.10. Utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjan va gunanvitam vimudha na anupashyanti pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So utkramantam sthitam vapi bhunjan va gunanvitam. So how the living entity is trapped in the body and how he keeps getting bodies due to the gunanvitam, to the attachment in the modes. So the translation, so here Srila Prabhupada writes, and then this person is called as a vimudha. Vimudha na anupashyanti. So such a person is a vimudha, is a fool. So a foolish cannot understand na anupashyanti, how a living entity can utkramantam, or quit his body, nor can they understand what kind of or what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of material nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge, jnana chakshu, one can see all this clearly. One can pashyanti, or what is that? Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. So the main point is that one must aim to get jnana chakshu. Okay. Others who do not are vimudhas. Vimudha. Mudha means a fool, and V means great fool. V attaches the significance or attaches emphasis on whatever comes. So vimudha. Great, he's a great fool. Okay. So the living entity is going from body to body to body, enjoying the various gunas, the various sense objects due to his entanglement with the gunas. And such a person is a vimudha. He's a great fool if he continues to do that. And therefore, one must build jnana through the jnana chakshu. One must try to see what is going on, his real position, that he's going in a circle, in a circle, in a circle. Like you are on that wheel. I always forget what that wheel is called. The
hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel. Thank you, Mati. Hamster wheel. So person who is on that hamster wheel cannot realize. But if you step away and then you see, oh, he thinks the person on the hamster wheel is always going forward. So you need to step out of it. You need to step away from it. And then you will be able to see you are not moving forward. You're just going you are stuck at the same place. That is jnana chakshu. So when you step out a little bit, what am I doing with my life? Am I really making progress? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years have passed. I'm, yes, working. I'm doing a job. I'm earning money. Would it matter if I earned a little less and focused that time on my spiritual progress? One day I will die. What is the use of this human life that I made? What did I make good use of it? So that whole process of questioning is jnana. And one must, when one thinks like this, that is jnana chakshu. So trying to step back, take a step back from life, pause and think, what am I doing with my life? So that is jnana chakshu. Means pause and think about our spiritual progress. Are we making any? And if the answer is no, then start making. And if the answer is yes, then how to make it better, or how to make it, how to increase it, how to keep moving forward, how to not fall back, and all those things. So the main points of 15.10. What are the main points? Who can tell? I'm going to now ask you all, what are the main points to increase some participation?
Aim to get Gyan Chakshus.
Very nice. Aim to get Gyan Chakshu. Another main point. Someone else?
Vimudhananupasyanti. Vimud,
Yeah.
who cannot see.
Those who don't do this, this means this, right? Are vimudha. So what is Lord Krishna doing? Krishna is jolting us out of our ignorance. We can say ignorance or indifference to spiritual life. So those are the two main points of this verse. He's calling us vimudhas, and then he's saying you must develop jnana chakshu. Okay, so now let us say the jiva is jolted out and he is being told by Lord Krishna, go develop jnana chakshu. So the link is, what is the link? How to develop jnana chakshu. That is the link. So 15.11 will talk about this. How to develop jnana chakshu. Okay. I will just say jnana chakshu, JC. Okay, how to develop jnana chakshu. So I forgot to keep showing you some slides. So we were talking about the real tree. Then we talked about Mameva Amsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. That is our connection to God. I forgot to mention one point here, very important point. Lord Krishna is also saying, so please make a note of this. I should add this in the notes here of 15.7. Where is 15.7? Here, where we started, yes. So another main point of 15.7 is that, what does he say in 15.6? 15.6 is tad dhamam, tad dhama paramam mama. It is my home. Then in 15.7, so 15.6, he says, my abode, Lord Krishna says, sorry, not abode, but abode. And 15.7, Lord Krishna says, you are my amsha. we can say you are my amsha, my part and parcel. You are my child. So by putting these together, it means that this dham, my abode, is also your abode, your true abode. That is the point that is being made. Like a father's house is also the child's house. The child does not need permission to come into the father's house. It is his house. Only thing is he must desire to come to the house and make an effort to come to his own house. So he's saying, this is my house and you are my amsha, and therefore this is your house, door is open. Okay, it is not like Krishna has to invite the jivas. The jivas are already invited. It is not even a question of invitation. It is their house. So that is our, so the another point is, if you put 15.6 and 15.7 together, we are children of Krishna. And Vaikuntha is our rightful home. That is our home. Nobody needs to think I am going into Krishna's home. Krishna is our father, and father's home belongs to the child. That is another important point. So we will go to the slide. So what is our connection with God? We are amsha of Bhagavan, and we are not satisfied here. Why we are struggling outside our home? Why we are not in our home? That is because of our desire to enjoy the sense objects. And that is why we keep going from one body to another. So then comes the jnana chakshu. Why can't we see all this? Because we are busy enjoying. We don't pause and step back. That is where we are in our discussion right now. Why can't we see all this? Because we are so busy enjoying. And if the suffering comes, we take remedial action to somehow go through and quickly, get past the suffering so that we can enjoy again. The whole focus is on the enjoyment, whether it is in the present or in the future. So we cannot see all this because we don't take a moment and step back, pause, and see where we are going to. Are we going towards our real destination or not? So that is the discussion of jnana chakshu, where we are. So next question is, how can we see all this? What is the one thing that will help us, the one thing to help us see all this? And that brings us to the discussion of 15.11, how to develop jnana chakshu. So 15.12. Yatanto yoginah, no, not 15.12, sorry, 15.11. Yatanto yoginah chenam pashyanti atmani avasthitam yatanto apya akritatmano nainam pashyanti achetasaha. So the translation is, the endeavoring transcendentalists. Yatanto yoginaha. So those yogis who are yatanta, who are always engaged in practicing, in putting effort. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in self-realization. Avasthitam atmani. Atmani avasthitam. Avasthitam means situated in the self-realization, in atmani, can clearly see all this pashyanti. So one must put himself or situate himself in self-realization. What is not written here is that, okay, let me complete the verse and then you will see. So, yatanto apya akritatmano, that those who are without this akritatmano. So, atmani avasthitam, there are two things in 15.11b. Lord Krishna is talking about atmani avasthitam. And 15.11c, Lord Krishna is talking about akrita atmani. So these two are opposites, correct? one who is situated in Atmani and one who is not situated, akrita, not situated in the self-realization in the Atmani. So these are opposites. So this guy, for this person, what happens? Pashyanti. Okay. And for this guy who is not situated in 15.11d, we say Lord Krishna is saying, Nenam pashyanti achetasa. No, or na pashyanti. Do you see? Na pashyanti. Because he is achetasaha. His mind is not developed. Basically, he has not put an effort to develop jnana chakshu. So that is the point that is being made. And in the first two lines, or in the first line, yatanto yoginaha chenam, that a person who is a yogi, who is always trying, can see. So what is not written, but our acharyas explain, therefore, this person, let me put it in red color, A and B. These are two people, right? Person A is akrita atmani. He cannot see. He is a fool. Person B is a self-realized person. Therefore, A should try to approach B to develop his jnana chakshu. So that is the main point. On his own, Srila Prabhupada writes here, yatanto api. So in 15.11c, yatanto api akritatmano, even though he may try on his own effort, which means he will use his material knowledge, he will not be able to be successful. So the process is, so one should try to approach B to develop Gyan Chakshu. Another main point is A cannot do it on his own based on his material consciousness. So firstly, A cannot do it. A is all of us. Many of us. I don't know if there are self-realized people here. I am definitely not. So many of the people like me who are not self-realized, we cannot do it based on our material consciousness. So we must try to find a person B who is Atmani Avasthitam and try to learn from him. And what does that make B? What can we say? Who is B?
Guru.
Very good.
Guru.
Guru. Therefore, a guru also, obviously, it cannot be just some Tom, Dick, and Harry. The guru must be Atmani Avasthitam.
Realized Guru.
Yes, this is the quality or the characteristic of a guru. You must go to a guru and obtain the knowledge and become somebody with a Jnana Chakshu. So by going to spiritually entitled people, the yogis, one should go from Akrita Atmani to Atmani Avasthita stage. Okay. So that is 15.11. Now we go to 15.12. So the link here is we have to do. So the link is what? So let me show it in the slides. So let me show, or let me write down. The link is we need to, sorry, too many E's. We need to cut the tree, correct? With what? What are the two things, 1 and 2? Come on, quickly. Note.
Detachment.
Faith and determination.
Determination, correct. We need to cut the tree, correct? Point number 2. We need to go to a yogi or a guru to obtain knowledge, to obtain jnana. And if you read the remaining verses, there is a lot of emphasis on what all we need to do. But we are also saying Krishna is our father. He wants us to come home. It is his home, tad dhama paramam mama. But mame vamsho jiva loke, Krishna is saying, you are my child. I'm just translating amsha as child for the sake of this discussion. You are my child. You can come to your own home. It's not just my home. It is all our home. Okay, big home. Vaikuntha is very big. Much, many times, hundreds, millions of times bigger than the material world. It can accommodate everyone. But what is Krishna doing? So we need to do. So the focus here is we need to. All this is there. So the question is, what is Krishna doing? How is he helping us to go back to our real home? How is he helping us? What is he doing?
He's helping us to find a guru.
Very nice.
And only get with his kripa.
So we will see that answer. So this is, we just now discussed 15.11. So in 4 verses, 15.12 to 15.15, 4 verses. And we are coming closer to the end of the chapter by this. Krishna will show that he is doing, what is he doing? Everything. That is the answer. We cannot say everything, or we can say a lot. Even if you don't want to say everything, let us say he is doing almost, or we can say this, almost everything. Okay, he has left little bit for us. Okay, it's like if you want to teach your child math, or let us say, no, not teach. Let us say you want to you want your child to get 100% in math. What is the easiest way to make him get 100% in math? Tell him all the answers, isn't it? Beta, iska answer ye hai, iska answer ye hai, iska answer. He will just copy. Is he learning? Would any father do that? No father will do that. He will do everything possible other than just telling him the answers. He will bring all the books. He will personally sit down and teach for hours. If he cannot teach, he will put a private tutor. He will he will put all the resources together, isn't it? And then the child can have a best shot at learning, isn't it? But think of it from the child's standpoint. Many fathers might appreciate this. Child will think, "Arey, this is father's duty. What special he has done?" Child might say, "What have you done?" So many times child asks, "What have you done?" And father is scratching his head. "I have done so much." And still he is asking, "What have you done?" Isn't it? Now, fortunately, in some cases, the child may go and talk to some other children. I have seen such cases also. And then they realize, oh my God, this father's child didn't do this, didn't do that, my father. So they may get that. Or when their children behave like that with them, then they realize, oh, my father did so much. Isn't it? But my point is, it is hard for the child to see what the father has done, even though the father is doing everything. So the father is doing almost everything or a lot, but it is not obvious to the child. Father is doing everything, but child is unable to see. Why? Because
Prabhuji, I would just like to make a point here.
Because he takes it for granted, or is just unable to see. Another point is because he is unable to experience how it would be without it, without the father's support. Without the father's support. Sometimes, you know, material fathers like us, to make the child, you don't know what I'm doing for you. Okay, from tomorrow, I'm stopping everything. And then the child is, oh my God, abhi to problem ho gaya. Sorry. So, you know, Krishna is also like that. So we will see in these 4 verses, Krishna is doing everything. We just take it so much for granted that we think he is doing nothing. All right. So that is I'm just giving you a theme for the next 4 verses. This is the theme you will see, and then we will cover the next 4 verses fast. Yes, Neeru Mataji.
Yeah, I'm saying this example is very good. And the toughest thing as a parent is to make the child understand that he needs to work towards 100% marks.
Yes. Many parents will realize that.
Go for that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That is called, then the child who sees this, who realizes this, and by seeing this, that my father is putting so much effort, therefore I must put my little bit. He has almost done everything. Almost he has done. I need to do a little bit. Then there is impetus or inspiration, motivation to do your part. And then you get 100%, you go to Vaikuntha. So that is the purpose of Lord Krishna telling this. Which father will want to tell his child, I have done so much for you? But we are so ignorant. We are such rascal children that father needs to tell, see what all I am doing for you. Father may not like telling what all he is doing, but for some children he has to tell. So that shows our situation, how ignorant and indifferent we are towards Krishna. So that is what is being shown in this slide. So here we said, how can we see this? Through jnana chakshu. And do I have to make all the effort on my own, or does God support me? And the answer is yes, God supports us, and we will see how God supports us. So 15.12 to 15.15 is how Krishna supports our spiritual journey. Okay. So there are 4 levels, 1, 2, 3, and 4 at a cosmological level, then at a terrestrial level. All these nice words I took from Chaitanya Charitamrita Prabhu. He's an expert in, conveying points using very apt or very appropriate terminology. So at a cosmological level, at a terrestrial level, at a personal or physiological, I may get the spelling wrong, physiological level, and at a spiritual level. So these 3 are material levels, and the 4th one is spiritual. Of course, our material situation needs to be supported. Just spiritual will not be enough because we are in material world. So our material situation needs to be supported, and Lord Krishna is supporting it at right from the cosmological level. He makes the sun rise every day. What happens if the sun doesn't rise? There is a research that was done by some scientist, nothing to do with Vedic literature or anything. Through his scientific process, he concluded ultimately sun is the most important resource we have. Everything else we have on this planet is because of the sun. That's the conclusion he came to. All the fossilization happens because of the sun, the seasons and the climate and rains and All these things happen because of the sun. We get all our energy from the sun. Even the food comes from the sun, because if there is no sun, there'll be no growth of plants, everything. So basically he said sun is the source, is the one. If you have to pick one thing which is providing life on the planet, it is the sun. There are of course other derivatives, but he came to that conclusion. So I'm just saying that sun is the most important according to one modern scientist. And that is what Lord Krishna says in the first line of 15.12. Number one thing is he created the sun. Yad aditya gatam tejo. So all he's saying, all these things, by the way, what will be mentioned in the verse are coming from Krishna. So the verse should be read as, from me come the following. Sun. So in the last line, he will say, Tat tejo vidhi mamakam. Mamakam means from me come. Mamakam. Come, if you say English word, mam come. From me comes. So Lord Krishna is saying, from me it comes. So from what all comes from Krishna? Yad aditya gatam tejo, the sun's energy or the tej of the sun. Then Jagad bhasayate akhilam, so which illuminates, bhasayate, which provides energy and illumination to the whole world. Next, Yat chandramasi yat cha agnav, so Chandra, the moon, fire, all the splendor, all the energy, teja, and the energy and the brightness, everything of these come from Tad tejo vidhi mamakam. So this verse says, translation by Srila Prabhupada, the splendor of the sun, which dissipates darkness of this world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Okay, so from me come, in this verse, we have discussed three things. So this is at a cosmological level. Okay, then we will see 15.13 at a terrestrial level. Terrestrial means on the level of earth, on the earth level, earth's level. So who can tell on the earth level what all Krishna is doing? So again, I will start everything with from me comes, and then we will see what all comes from Krishna. So what can you think? What is on the earth level?
Water.
River, water, rivers. Yeah.
So we will just list down. Not everything has been mentioned by Krishna. So water, rivers, what else?
Air,
Air, yes.
Plants and trees.
food.
Plants, trees, very important, right? Because they convert carbon dioxide back into oxygen. That's one thing. And the second thing is they give us food.
Yeah.
Soil.
So all those things.
Soil.
Yes, all these things. Very nice.
All five elements.
All the five elements. Okay, well, out of the five elements, some are in the cosmological space also, like Ka or space is in space. Rest are on the earth, agreed. So we can say, just to be, little bit, four elements we can say. Well, space is also there on earth also. Anyway, I'm not going to. Okay. All right. So let us say let us see what Lord Krishna is saying. Gam avishya cha bhutani dharayamyaham ojasa pushnami cha aushadhi sarva somo bhutva rasatmakaha. So what all Lord Krishna is saying? The translation by Srila Prabhupada. I enter into each planet. So sun, moon, all those were outside our planet. So that is, he's referring to, in the previous verse, it was outside the planet. Now he's coming into the planet. I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. So the earth, so the most important thing is earth stays in proper orbit. What does that enable?
Seasons.
Seasons, very nice. That enables the seasons. Not only the seasons, it enables the tides. It enables proper day and night. There is a scientific theory that a planet must revolve in an orbit for it to rotate around its axis. You just cannot have something rotating on its own axis. That rotating on an axis is because it is revolving. And for those interested in science or physics, the example that is given is that matter is moving within the fabric of space-time. So think of space-time like a fabric, and matter is moving in that fabric, and therefore it moves around its axis as well due to certain conservation laws and things like that, which I'm not going to go into. I don't understand them fully myself. But think of it like the example that is given is like a ball rolling on a floor. Kindly keep. Okay. So like a ball is rolling on a floor. To keep rolling, it has to keep moving forward. Okay. It is not possible for the ball to roll if it's still on the ground. So in that sense, or if it is going around in a funnel, that example is given, it has to keep going around, and the only way it can keep going around is by rotating as well. So this rotation and revolution are connected, as even according to modern science. So that's what gives us, one can say only rotation gives day and night, but that is connected to revolution around the sun. So tides, day and night, all these things. So the main point is Earth stays in orbit. So sorry for the small scientific deviation. Okay. All right. Then next, I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. So plants, vegetables, and the Sanskrit word that is used here is aushadhi. So I will also add medicines, very important. All these things Lord Krishna is doing at the earth level. Okay. So that is what is mentioned in the 13th verse. And then in the 14th verse, 15.14, at a personal level, physiological, or I will just use a simple word, bodily level. At a bodily level, what will happen? What does Krishna do? So Krishna does, what does he do for our body? Tell me at least three things.
Oxygen.
Okay, oxygen or breathing. Oxygen is outside, but our body is doing the breathing. Ask somebody who died of COVID. So many people died because of breathing. There is so much oxygen outside, but they cannot take it. Isn't it? Sometimes you have to put oxygen cylinder and push oxygen in their lungs. Even then they died. So how important?
Digestion of intakes.
Huh?
Digestion of intakes is also very important for the body.
Yeah, digestion is another one. So staying on the breathing, which seems so natural. Who thinks about breathing? Because digestion somehow is connected to food. And people do realize the importance of food. There is a problem in the world called world hunger, isn't it? People are trying to solve world hunger. Is anybody trying to solve world breathing problem? There is no shortage of air, is it? Yet. Maybe 500 years later, there will be shortage of air. Today, there is shortage of food. Water shortage is becoming more and more these days. So 200 years ago, there was no water shortage. Now we are beginning to see water shortage. Maybe 500 years later, there will be air shortage. I don't know. So you can
So
see.
it has started already. Because
Yeah, I
whenever
saw
I'm
some in
mental condition.
medical stores. I saw some oxygen bottles. You can get fresh.
Yeah.
Like a over the counter, not like oxygen cylinder for a patient. Just like if you want fresh oxygen, because there is so much pollution around. So to get fresh oxygen, you have to buy oxygen in this store.
Air is contaminated.
Hmm?
Air is contaminated.
Contaminated, yes. So you can see what Krishna is doing and how we are damaging Krishna's property. But anyway, the point is we realize the importance of something when it is taken away. So the point I was not to dilute the point. Ask those patients who cannot digest. We eat so much, we eat as if, our stomachs are like perfect machines which will never go bad. We keep eating. Then after a certain point, then we have to eat antacid. And then after a certain point, our stomach goes bad and you cannot eat anything. I have seen some people who every day they survive on only khichdi, which is also devoid of any salt. Can you imagine eating just khichdi with no salt? Even the prisoners in the jail are not given that. They also get some salt. That is what happens when Krishna takes away, when those people realize the value of even one gulab jamun or one samosa. Isn't it? So when these things are taken away, then we realize how important they are. How important. Just like breathing for the COVID patients, how important breathing is. So Lord Krishna mentions, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritah Pranapan Samayuktaha Pachami Annam Chaturvidham. So I am the Vaishnaro Bhutva. I become the Vaishnaraha, means the acid.
Vaishwanaro.
Yeah, Vaishwanaro. What did I say? Anyway, forget it. So, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. So, I am the digestive power. Praninam Deham Ashritaha. And in the Deha of all the living entities, I am the Prana. I am the breathing capability, the Prana. We say Prana ja rahe hain, which means we cannot breathe. I join Samayuktaha, which means I join with the life of the air, the outgoing prana, the incoming prana apan Samayuktaha, and make that breathing process possible. So breathing, digestion, Pachami Annan, so Chaturvidham. So these two things are being talked about, breathing and digestion. Okay. The various kinds of foods. Chaturvidham means the 4 kinds of foods. The 4 kinds of foods are what? Those that are
Juicy.
Yeah. Bhakshya.
Chewing, choshi.
खाने वाले, पीने वाले, चाटने वाले.
Bhakshya means chewed. So like rice and wheat, that is known as bhakshya. Bhujya. And this is which is sipped, like juice and water and all the other things, Pepsi and Coca-Cola as well. Lehya, and lehya is which is licked. So like some gud, you can lick, or maybe you can chew it all also. And then choshya,
Choose.
and which is sucked, like mango, this one, the seed of a mango, you suck it. Or in my city Lucknow, we used to get what aam we used to get? What is that which you
Daseri.
not daseri.
Daseri.
No, there's a special aam which you
Daseri.
can just squeeze
Malihabadi.
Chosa.
Chausa maybe, yeah, something like that. Anyway, so these are the 4 kinds of food that are referred to here in the Chaturvidham, Pachami Annam Chaturvidham. So that is at a personal level. So the point is, please try to, again, we don't want to dilute or forget the significance All this Krishna is making happen. And it is not that it is our right. It is not our birthright that we must have this. To realize that, look at people. In all these cases, you can look at people who don't have this. And then you will realize how much Krishna is enabling us to, or he's supporting our existence. And then finally, 15.15. At a spiritual level. So when the body, please try to realize, when the body is functioning well, then spiritual knowledge, the acquisition of spiritual knowledge becomes easy, or it becomes possible. If the body is not functioning properly, then it is very hard to focus on spiritual life. So in this verse, Lord Krishna is telling us what all he's doing for us at a spiritual level, after making sure that our body is fully, nicely supported. So sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. So what all Lord Krishna is saying, how is he supporting us? Sarvasya cha aham. So aham is there, I am. Sarvasya, in all living entities. Hridi sannivishto. So I am sitting in everybody's heart. So we can say here, Krishna is doing the following at a spiritual level. So what is the first line saying? What is the first line saying?
In everybody, I'm there.
So what do we say that? What is the name for that?
Paramatma.
Paramatma. Very nice.
Idam.
And what does Paramatma do? Okay, Paramatma is there in our heart. What is one thing, one important thing that he does?
He guides us. He tells us.
He guides us. Now we must have the capability to listen to his guidance. That is a separate matter. But he guides us in from the heart. Mattah smritir, next point. Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. So from me, mattah, what all comes? 3 points are mentioned. So this is mentioned in 15.15a. These 3 are mentioned in 15.15b. What are the 3 things? Smritir, smriti.
Memory.
The memory or
Memory.
yes. So whatever spiritual
Remembrance.
knowledge. So the main point is whatever spiritual knowledge we are getting, we should remember. Memory is given not to remember Bollywood songs, but to remember Bhagavad Gita and to remember Lord's instructions. So smriti, jnana,
Knowledge.
knowledge, and apohanam, forgetfulness also. So what does forgetfulness mean?
This is a
He is
blessing
giving
also.
smriti to remember spiritual knowledge, but then we forget also. So that also is coming from Krishna, so one can say. So it is okay if we forget. But both he is giving.
Forget the negative.
Yeah.
Yes, Shamila
Negativity.
Mataji.
Biti tahi visarde. Biti tahi visarde. Whatsoever has happened, that is gone.
Yes,
Take care
very
of
good.
the rest.
Correct. So like both of you said, I think Mataji also wanted to say something. Forgetfulness of everything not connected to Krishna. And especially all the negative thoughts, all those things. So he has given us the capacity to forget, to move on. And this includes the thing basically to avoid the intelligence, to avoid bad association, the jnana to discern what is good association versus bad association. All these things are included in this forgetfulness. Okay, very nice. So we should use that forgetfulness for the right way. We try to remember all the bad things and we forget Bhagavad Gita. So that is our misuse of Krishna's faculties. That is like using a knife to kill somebody instead of using the knife to, like the doctor uses the knife to save somebody. Okay. Then what does he say? 15.15c. Not only that he gives us the Vedas, or the direct spiritual knowledge. Not just the capacity to acquire spiritual knowledge, but he gives us the spiritual knowledge itself. Okay, now I have given you the ability to read and write. It's like father giving the child a tutor and he's giving the time, but he's also giving the book. Here is the book. Now come on, you read the math. So he is giving us the Vedas also. So Vedaishcha sarvair aham eva vedyo. So he's giving us the Vedas and aham eva vedyo. That from the Vedas, so 5 and 6, he's also telling us to know Krishna is the purpose of the Vedas. And how is he giving us this? To know Krishna is the purpose of the Vedas? Through Bhagavad Gita. Very nice. Through Bhagavad Gita, he's telling us, just read Bhagavad Gita, you will know what are the Vedas and you will know the conclusion of the Vedas. And in 7th point, he is saying, I am the author of the Vedas. Author plus the object of the Vedas. So this is 15.15d. Vedanta krid vedavid eva chaham. So basically, Lord Krishna is saying, go read the spiritual knowledge. Use your faculties that I have given you, the memory, the jnana, and the ability to forget all the other things which will come in the way of your spiritual progress. Use all those things and take guidance from Paramatma. I am sitting right in your heart. And externally, as a guru in the Ishopanishad class, if you remember, we discussed this point in the topic of the guru. The Lord appears internally as Paramatma is also a guru, and externally as a real guru or a person guru. So the Lord is trying to guide us from within and without, from inside and outside. Inside as Paramatma, outside as guru. And that is also covered in the 15th chapter, like we just saw. All right? Samajh mein aa raha hai? So, it is 7:45. We have 15 minutes left, and we have to cover 15.16 to 15.20. Any questions at this point?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
In chapter 10 and 11, we have seen the vibhuti of Lord Krishna. These are similar to those vibhuti, isn't it?
You can say that, but the purpose is different. And the acharyas tell us that the purpose of the vibhutis of chapter 10 is to appreciate Krishna and to see him everywhere. Wherever you go, you see him. And he has picked up the best of the best and shown us. So he says that among the rivers, I am Ganga, but it doesn't mean if you are in Portland and you see the river Columbia, then you will not remember Krishna, only Ganga. That is not the point. So among all the rivers, the best is Ganga, but so are all the other rivers also a vibhuti of Krishna. So the purpose is to appreciate and to appreciate Krishna everywhere in the material world and to see Krishna everywhere in the material world. In 15th chapter, these things that are being mentioned, which is what I thought your question is, that he is the light, the energy of the sun, the energy of the moon, the fire of digestion. The purpose is how Krishna is supporting our personal life, to be indebted to him, to know that he is doing his part, more than his part, for us to turn towards him and go towards him. He's calling us. He's supporting us. Not only is he calling, he's calling so many times in Bhagavad Gita. Maam ekam sharanam vraja. He's saying, "Aao meri sharan mein aao. Come to my sharan." So he's calling, but he's also telling us in these 4 verses how he's supporting us to come to him. He's providing a guru. He's providing the knowledge. He's providing us the capability to remember that knowledge. He's providing the capability for us to lead a, healthy life through the medicines, through all those things, through the aushadhi and all those things that we discussed.
Yes, sir.
Understand?
Ji, Prabhuji.
ठीक है. Any other? So I have some questions that I want to take. And these questions are not directly from the today's class, but they are general questions. So I will take up those questions anyway. And we will not be able to complete this chapter today because there are 5 very important verses, 16 to 20, but it will not take the full class. So next time we will complete these 5 verses and we will start chapter 16 also. Okay. So one question is that, so let me share my screen again so I can answer it with like a whiteboard. Okay. So this we will cover next time. Plus chapter 16 start. So this is Q&A. And first question is, what is Bhagavat Dharma? That is one question. Very nice question. So in our new series of Bhagavad Gita that we started, we discussed Arjuna's dharma. And Arjuna is torn between his 2 dharmas. So there are basically, the point I'm making is there are various levels of dharma. So for Arjuna, for example, in chapter 1, this is Arjuna in chapter number 1. He is struggling between 2 dharmas, his Kshatriya dharma which means basically you can think of it like justice. I have to deliver justice. So much, we had an agreement. First of all, you did so many bad things to us. We forgot. Then there was agreement. If we do 13 years of vanvas and we come back, you will give us our kingdom. We did not ask for that also. We asked for 5 villages. That also you are not giving. So there has to be justice. Versus Kul Dharma. How can you kill your own family members? So there is a conflict between 2 dharmas. This is not adharma. Duryodhan was only on the side of adharma. There was no dharma there. So dharma, by the way, is at least according to the dharma means according to the law books. The law book, for example, in our Sanatan Dharma, the At a material level, the law books are the Vedas. Also, there is the Manu Samhita, which tells how basically human life should be led properly. It talks just about the Dharma, Artha, Kama, how to lead a legal life, legal lives. So he was battling between these two. Then Arjuna, in chapter 18, what is the Dharma? Who can tell? What is the Dharma that he adopts in chapter 18?
Bhakti,
Tell me,
Sharanagati.
what is the Sanskrit word? Yes, Shamlila Mataji, you have raised your hand.
Prabhuji, following Bhagwan's orders. Bhagwan ne bola hai ye karna hai.
Very nice. So you have conveyed the exact English of what I was looking for. Karishye vachanam tava. 18.73, I think, 73 or 74, you can check. That is the Dharma that he adopts. My Dharma is not Kshatriya Dharma. My Dharma is not Kula Dharma. My Dharma is Karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you will say, I will do. And this is Karishye vachanam tava is the same as Bhagavat Dharma. This is equal to Bhagavat Dharma, because Bhagavat means Bhagavan. So whatever Bhagavan is saying, we do. So that is the same as Karishye vachanam tava. All right. So whatever the Lord is, one second, let me finish. I'm not done. So this is Bhagavat Dharma. So now that is the Dharma for Arjun. Our Bhagavat Dharma for all of us in Kaliyuga. The Bhagavat Dharma is Krishna Bhakti. And the most prominent way of doing Krishna Bhakti is Nama Sankirtan. That is Bhagavat Dharma. This, for all of us in Kali Yuga, this is Bhagavat Dharma. And where it is written, I will show you from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The second chapter of the first canto, you can see here, Canto 1, and Chapter 2. This is the most important, or arguably it can be said one of the most important chapters of entire Srimad Bhagavatam, the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam. And here, text number 6 is a very important verse, very important. Savai Pumsham Paro Dharmo. So Pumsham means all of the humanity, mankind. So Savai Pumsham, what is the Paro Dharma? The topmost Dharma of all of humanity is Yato Bhaktir Adhokshaje. The Bhakti of Adhokshaja. Who is Adhokshaja? Krishna or Narayana. Ahaituki apratihata. And what kind of bhakti? Unbroken and unmotivated. Not with a wish list. If I do bhakti, what will you do for me? Not that kind of bhakti. Unconditional. I will do bhakti, full stop. No next sentence. I will do, period. I will not ask what will you do. That is ahaituki, and apratihata means unbroken, continuous. So that full dedication of mind, body, and words, BMW, body, mind, and words, all the things dedicated to Krishna Bhakti, that is Paro Dharma for all of humanity. This is Bhagavat Dharma. So Bhagavata Dharma is basically Nama Sankirtana. There is another verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is in the 12th canto, 3rd chapter, last verse. Krite yad dhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makhai dvapare paricharyayam kalau tad hari kirtanat. Whatever benefit is obtained in the Krite means Satyuga, by Dhyayato Vishnum, by focusing, meditating on Vishnu. Tretayam Yajato Makhai, by doing various sacrifices, yagnas in the Treta Yuga. Dvapare Paricharyayam, by doing worshipping the deities in Dwapar Yuga. That same benefit, Kalau Tad means the same benefit of all the three in Kalau, in Kali Yuga is obtained how? Who can tell?
Naam Sankirtan.
Naam Sankirtan.
Naam Sankirtan of whose Naam? Param
Shri
Karuna Das
Krishna.
Naam?
Hari.
Shri
Or
Krishna. Shri Krishna.
Narendra Modi Naam or Donald Trump Naam? No.
Narendra. Shri Krishna.
Hari Kirtanat. Shri
Hari.
Krishna. So Nama Sankirtan of Shri Krishna. So, oops, what happened? So not just Nama Sankirtana, but Hari Nama Sankirtana. So that is Bhagavat Dharma. All right.
Hmm.
So that was one question. What is Bhagavat Dharma? So that has been answered. There can be a whole class on this, 2-hour class, but I'm trying to answer in 5, 10, 7 minutes. Okay, we can do more detailed discussion. So, Goel Prabhu, you were trying to ask something, or did your question get answered?
Yes, Prabhuji. In verse number 1863, Lord Krishna says, now I have told you everything. Now you
Yes.
do whatever you want.
Yad ichhasi
So,
tatha kuru.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in that verse, he don't say anything what you have to do. You do as per your choice. I have told you everything.
Yes.
So what is Krishna Vachanam now here?
What is, yeah, so what is Krishna Vachanam? So Lord Krishna, he
All,
would have,
everything.
so what is your question, that what is Krishna Vachan here?
Nay, here he is not saying that you do this or that. I have told you, he has given us the choice.
Yes.
He is not a very particular that you do only like this.
Okay. You have children, Goel Prabhu?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So how does father treat the child? He tells all the good things, which is what he is telling in Bhagavad Gita. He has spent, Bhagavad Gita has 700 verses. This is 18.63 and it goes up to 78. So 15 verses are remaining. So 685 verses he has spent on what to do. Then he's saying, now you do whatever you want. If the student is sincere and serious, he will abide by the previous 685 verses. It is not like he's saying, chalo bhago yahan se, jo karna hai karo, get lost. Do whatever you want. Come on, get out. That's not the mood of saying yad ichhasi tatha kuru. He is giving a free choice to, Lord is not forcing us to do something, to go towards him or to go away from him, but he wants us to. He's telling his mind what I want. So father will never force the child. Father will give the instructions, all the knowledge to the child. But look at this father. So that is one point. He's giving us the free will, the free choice. Okay. Second point is, look at this father. He's not satisfied still. Otherwise, Arjun could have started speaking in 18.64. He says, next verse, that I am telling you now, even though I have given you a choice, let me tell you the right answer. Like I said, father can tell the right answer. He is asking a question to the child, you do whatever you want. I have told you the right knowledge, you choose. And he's also saying, by the way, this is the right choice. In the next 2 verses, what does he say? This is the Shrinu me paramam vachaha. Guhyad guhyataram. Now I'm telling you the secret, the right answer. And the right answer is Man mana bhav mad bhakto madhya jivam namaskuru. And sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vaja. Chalo mere paas aao. Jaldi se sab chhod do. Leave everything. That is the right answer, my dear Arjuna. And Arjun says that, yes, I will do that. Karishye vachanam tava. Not karishye vachanam mama. Ki jo main chahunga wo karunga. I will do what I want. He doesn't say that. So you have to realize, you have to understand, this question, you are so learned in Bhagavad Gita. How are you asking such a question?
I mean to say that we have to use our jnana or buddhi to understand the whole Gita and then apply it. Not
Yeah,
only
not
keep
the
it
conditioned buddhi, not the conditioned buddhi, but buddhi which is cleaned after receiving the instructions of Krishna. Then yes, we have to make a free choice.
Yes, sir.
Then we have to make free choice, but after understanding our jnana chakshu has been opened, then we have to make a free choice.
In other words, we can say that अस्त्र शस्त्र सब दे दिया है, अब यूज करो स्वतंत्रता पूर्वक. But you will have to then you will have to face the consequences also. अगर अपने मन से आप अपनी हिसाब से करते हो.
So he is telling the consequences also. In 16th chapter, you will see, if you misuse, and just before this verse, 18 point, this I call as the famous 2.5 plus 2.5. Remember this, 18.56, 57, 58.5, and then 58 and the second half, 59 and 60. So this is the 2.5 and 2.5. Ye 5 verses mein Krishna is telling, if you do what I am telling, what will happen? If you don't do what I am telling, what will happen? And in rest of Bhagavad Gita chapter 16 also he has told what will happen. Na sukham na paramam gatim. 16th chapter. Ye shastra vidhim utsrijya. Those who don't follow the shastra. Na sukham na paramam gatim. They don't get anything. Here again he is telling, if you do, what will you get? If you don't follow, what will you get? Then he is giving a free choice. So yes, the choice is the child's choice. But really, there is one very obvious right choice. Okay, enough on that discussion. Enough on that. Any other question is there? I don't want to just go on and on. Any other question?
I wanted to say only one thing, that this buddhi you also given by Lord Krishna. If you have not buddhi, we cannot decide anything.
Yes,
of course, we have choice, but this buddhi you also given by Lord Krishna.
Yes, Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te.
तो सबसे पहले हमें प्रार्थना करनी चाहिए, भगवान हमें बुद्धि देवे.
प्रार्थना तो करते रह सकते हैं, लेकिन उसके लिए अपना एफर्ट भी करना है, और सबसे पहला जो एफर्ट करना है वो है गुरु पद आश्रय. केवल प्रार्थना करते रहेंगे तो बस प्रार्थना ही करते रहेंगे. ठीक है, भगवान प्रार्थना में बहुत पावर होती है. There's a lot of power in प्रार्थना, but we have to take effort also. We cannot just sit isolated inside a room. We have to go and put effort. And the first step in taking effort is Guru Pada Ashraya.
Ji.
We will discuss this in Nectar of Devotion.
Thank you.
Anything else? I took one question. So we have taken one question from all the questions that came from outside the class. We will continue to take these questions from in other classes as well. Okay, so we will stop here for today. Thank you very much for attending Bhagavad Gita class. Next class, we will complete chapter 15 and we will start chapter 16. And I don't think there are any other announcements. Thank you very much. We also have tomorrow Ishopanishad class, and on Sunday we have the new batch. We will start with chapter 2. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.